Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you, my dear little knuckleheads, have wandered onto the number one. I said the number one prog rock channel on all of YouTube. It's the Prog Corner. Oh, and today I'm super duper excited. I've got a special guest on the program today. It's none other than Mark Maselli from the great American prog band Easter Island. Boy, if you don't know this band, you absolutely need to know them. They put out one and only album. Well, they did put out an album later on. We'll talk about that. But today we're celebrating the reissue of this here piece of nostalgia core, man. Absolutely so thrilled to have this. It's the Easter Island debut album, and it's back in stock courtesy of Disques Pluquerel, Disques PQR. I'm going to put a link in the description, so don't worry about trying to figure out what I just said. Anyway, this thing you got to have it. We're going to crack this open. We're going to talk about it with our guest, Mark. Oh, and you've got the original 1979 one right there, don't you?
Yes, I do. It was, if the small print at the bottom said suitable for framing.
So that's why all the, like a lot of the artwork you see is not a 12 by 12. It's that like rectangular because of that fold out that comes with it.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's like, it's a vertical version of.
Let's see the label on that, Mark. Pull that record out. Let's see the label on that. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, but we got good news, boys and girls. You don't have to spend $4,000 to get a copy of that. How many copies did you press back in '79, Mark?
I think it was 300.
300, yeah.
And it took quite a while to sell them. And it's which is always hilarious, you know.
Yeah, that is hilarious. I bet you wished you would have had a couple hundred extra copies floating around the last 10 years.
Oh, I do. No, I'm kidding. No.
This is the reissue. George over there at Disques PQR, he's doing 400 copies of this. I think there's like 250 in marble and 150 in splatter. Let's have a look. What number is mine? I got number, there it is, number 48. I'm not sure if I got which vinyl I got. Let's have a look at this thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping mine are the blue splatter.
Okay. It says here, U.S. Prog Classic Easter Island, bonus CD with rare live and studio tracks, 12-page color booklet. I got the splatter, it says here, so let's look at this splatter.
Oh, man, I hope mine is.
Let's see here. Okay.
Gorgeous.
Okay, well, we got we got the CD. What's all on here?
That's live material. The original Easter Island did a concert in 1978, 10 days before UK broke up. We did a concert with them here in Louisville, which was remarkable. You know, the good news was, hey, you get to play with UK, and the bad news was, oh, yeah, you get to play with your heroes. Good luck.
Yeah. I know you're a really, really good guitar player, Mark, but would it hurt your feelings if I said you're not Alan Holdsworth?
No.
God, he's so good, man.
But he wanted to buy my cabinet after the gig.
Really? What were you playing through?
I was playing through an SMF 412 cabinet. I think the reason he wanted it, knowing how he is, he likes to tinker with everything.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And these were front-loaded 12s with individual grills on them with thumb screws, so you could switch out the speakers really easily.
Yeah, he might have wanted the cabinet more than the speakers.
Yeah, probably.
Right.
I had EV12L SROs in them.
Nice. So you were getting a pretty decent sound.
Yeah. I was never happy with the recorded sound, but most of that stemmed from the fact that, I'm dealing with my own compositions for the most part. And when you're in a studio, these were never intended to be masters, ever.
Really?
They were a quick recording done at various studios as demos, just so we could hear it instead of just playing it. Because we probably rehearsed more than anybody I've ever known. We rehearsed between 5 and 7 days a week for a couple of years.
And it shows. I mean, there's a lot of these, we talk about these buried treasure albums, these hidden gems of the prog subgenre. And a lot of times you finally get your hands on it, or you hear it on YouTube or something. It's like, yeah, this thing isn't that good, or the production sounds weird, or that's the music's good, but that singer's terrible. There's always some little thing that keeps me from loving a lot of these.
Yeah.
This is not one of those records, boys and girls. This band was amazing. Don't listen to Mark. His guitar tone on the album is splendid. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of the lower budget, like, type of records that were coming out at that time in the late to mid 70s type of thing, the guitar tone's weird. A lot of times it's thin, it's real tinny, there's no mid-range, it just doesn't sound good. Your guitar sounds great all the way through here, by the way, Mark.
Well, you're the first person that's ever said that. Because in conversations with myself, I'm just going like, oh my God. The reason is because I would put my part, we played it live pretty much, but if I had an overdub, I would put it on last. And it was the last part of the session because we're watching the clock because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
So
that's how that goes.
I can't thank you enough for that. And thanks for coming today. I appreciate
this is awesome, man. I have been a fan of this record. I'd heard about it throughout the 80s, right? Because I was managing a record store, so I was aware of a lot of different things, but I never got my hands on it until 1991 when a CD version of that came out. It had a different name. How did that come about? And who put that out? There it is.
Well, ZNR Records put it out for me. What I did, I wanted to keep the music going, which is my complete happiness right now. That the Japanese re-released it, another American company called Void Records re-released it, and now George in Europe is re-releasing it. And it was always my goal just to keep it going. Nobody's ever going to get rich off this, by far. But so what happened was when I brought it out, I decided to put a song at the beginning and a new song at the end, both of them.
Yeah.
So that hence the name Now and Then. And I think it segued together pretty good, but purists are going to love the original, of course, and that's fine.
And what we have here, well, let's just take a look at this. Easter Island debut album, reissued 1979. Look at the back here. George has his name all over it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, good old George. We love George. But not only does it come with the CD with live material, which is super cool because I haven't heard any of this, so I'm excited. 12-page booklet. Look at this, kiddies.
Wow.
Oh, this is nicely put together. All your historic information about the band.
That's about the gig we did with Gong.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, there it is.
You haven't lived until you've seen a giant elf walk into the dressing room with red hair and a very bespoke beard. Let's put it that way.
And let's see, who's this young man right here? Who's
that
guy?
It's a bad
playing
room.
a sitar. How prog is that?
Of course.
Then we get to the actual vinyl itself. Oh, let's have a look at this. Wow.
I can't wait to see it. I don't have mine yet. Oh,
wow. Oh,
wow.
That's beautiful.
There just went the sales of the original just went down the toilet because everybody's
that's what happens. But the originals, there's always going to be a market for that, right? And I think it temporarily suppresses the market a little bit, but it comes roaring back.
Sure.
Because we're going to sell all 400 of these, Mark.
Hey.
That's the goal. We sold all the Mirthranders, right? We took care of that, no problem.
I saw that interview.
Mirthranders. Now we're going to sell all the Easter Islands.
I saw that interview with them. I never kept up with American prog bands.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, even watching some of the interviews, we've all got a common experience here, and hats off to everybody that even tries to do this.
No doubt. And hats off to George at D's case. PQR. He's dropping the brand new album from Easter Island, and a couple months ago he just dropped this Agnes's one and only album, Pinturas y Expresiones from 1980, the great Argentinian band. This thing's awesome, man. There's like 10 people in this band. So George has a good ear, man. He's doing the Lord's work. He's putting out all this obscure stuff, and I really appreciate that he's taking the time to look at the American prog scene, because it's been forgotten about. I mean, there's so many great bands, but nobody talks about them. Most of them have been forgotten into the sands of time, much like Easter Island. You know, we could talk about Cathedral, or, you know, we could talk about a million different bands that were all over the U.S., but the U.S. is such a big place to break the U.S. market. Did you guys have any delusions of grandeur back in the 70s that you had any chance of making it? I mean, because the deck was stacked against you.
When we did the concert with UK, that would have been a perfect time to take it to another level. But we broke up not long after that. And so the album didn't come about until I think I said to the guys, hey, you know, we got these demo tapes. Let's pool a little bit more money together and print some. And that's how it happened.
Now, first of all, does not sound like demos whatsoever. Second of all, for all you clowns out there that are on the fence, like, oh, I don't know, should I buy it or should I not buy it? Let's talk about the album. There's 5 songs on it. Side 2 is an epic, man. The Alchemist Suite is just amazing. It's just awesome. But, you know, us prog heads, we always go to that live, you know, that long track rather. That's always like what we want to listen to first. But I'm telling you, side 1, the 4 songs on side 1 are absolutely outstanding. And Face to Face, man. If there's one track you clowns need to go check out, I might put a link to the video. There's a video out for it. And you guys need to hear Easter Island, because this is not just some, you know, maybe sort of they were okay, you know, just ripping off the British bands, blah. This, you know, you hear some of that, but I hear a lot more. Tell me a little bit about some of your influences in the, you know, the sounds and the artists that helped influence you in making this amazing record.
Well, thank you for the compliments. The thing is, I had come from a background of a band called Elysian Field, and we had a national label on Imperial Records, which was a division of Liberty Records.
Yeah,
and they had us to be the follow-up act of their roster to the Classics 4 with violins and everything. But secretly, when we were playing, we were like a forerunner of Southern rock, because we played heavy 2-guitar music. That's what it was based off of. And so, you know, Marshall, I got the first Marshall in the state of Kentucky, and you know, you're immediately cool when you do that. So I got hired in the band. So a lot of my influences, it's all over the place. I loved the British invasion, but I liked the a little bit more obscure bands. The Zombies were one of my favorite. That jazz influence was great. I bought my first album I ever bought with my own money was Having a Rave Up with the Yardbirds.
Oh wow! Mine was Band on the Run.
Was okay. Well, you're a lot younger than me.
Yeah, Band on the Run '73. That was the first record I paid for with my own money. And I was going to get Goat's Head Soup, and my brother's like, you don't want the Rolling Stones. You're a Beatles guy. Get that one done. I'm like, okay, whatever you say. He was right.
Yeah, there's room for all of them, though. Yeah, you know, I was a Stones fan until not long after Brian Jones died.
Yeah.
Because I like the original Stones.
Oh yeah. I'm a Brian Jones guy. I often wonder, what if, right? All those great what if stories in the history of rock and roll. Like, what if Janis had lived, right? What if Jim Morrison had done a couple more records with the Doors? And to me, that's a big one right there.
Yeah, he was their Sid Barrett.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was heavy guitar music. And then I was at somebody's house. Now I'm doing concerts in that world, nothing to do with Prog. So I missed the original release of In the Court of the Crimson King. Instead, I caught the second album, In the Wake of Poseidon. And my jaw just dropped to the ground, and I went, wow.
Yeah.
So I went back, and then I got deeper and deeper, and it's the change that you're hearing is the difference in having a guitar instrumentation head getting into the keyboard world.
Yeah.
And that when I met Ray Vogel,
okay, let's stop right there. Let's give a shout out to the other members of this incredible band. We're kind of acting like it was a one-man band, and that's a little bit unfair because I'm telling you, your bandmates were no slouches, man. Let's start with Rick Bartlett.
Rick Bartlett.
Wow. What a voice, man. Who is this guy?
He was formerly singing with the Kentucky Opera Association.
Well, that explains it.
Yeah. He's since then he's learned to play piano himself and guitar so he can accompany himself. He's a very iconic vocalist.
Yeah, brilliant. And not what you normally hear in prog music.
No.
That his voice is extremely soulful, yet he doesn't have that baritone. Like a lot of times you equate the soulful singers with having that deep voice. He's still in the tenor range. He's still got that good proggy highness to his voice, but he's got a lot of soul, and he can sing with his full voice, but then he can switch into falsetto, and that sounds great too. And there's not a lot of guys that can do that. Rick Bartlett, absolutely phenomenal. You mentioned Ray Vogel. He brings a whole lot to the table on this album. The keyboard player. Tell me a little bit about Ray.
Well, Ray's passed away, unfortunately. And I think it was 2007, something like that.
Okay, but, shout out to Ray and his family. May he rest in peace.
He's got a son, Adrian, that I'll probably send a link to this to.
Absolutely.
I even had, on a side note, Ray and I went in together on the Mellotron. This is before we had the whole band.
Yeah.
Because you got to have a Mellotron.
You got
in
to.
1970, whenever. I guess I met Ray in 74, 73.
Wow. And here's the thing about Ray. It's not just the Mellotron this cat's playing, He's playing Moogs, he's playing Hammonds, he's playing the piano. He's got a whole array of stuff he's playing. But that Mellotron sounds so good, man.
Yeah. But anyway, so fast forward probably 15 years ago. I don't know. I'm old, so it could have been yesterday. But I get a strange email from a guy with a picture of the Mellotron that we had because he ended up with it and wanted to make sure it was ours.
Wow.
Which was cool.
I hope he's making good use of it. There's nothing worse than a Mellotron collecting dust in the corner of somebody's music room.
Right.
Unforgivable. And then we've got the great Park Crane on bass. He comes up with some great bass lines on this record.
Yes, very melodic. We like I said, we rehearsed so much. What we would do is we would go through these songs and see if we could make it all the way through it, because it's always, all the changes in tempo and everything means a lot. So he had a Rickenbacker, and so he would play some melodic lines, which I welcome. When I front a band, or not front, but when I'm like the leader of a band, what I like to do better than anything is get people that I know are creative and don't tell them anything. Yeah. Just say, here's a song I wrote and let's go with it. And we just keep jamming and jamming and jamming and jamming, and everybody comes up with their own parts. If I have to tell you what part to play, then, I shouldn't have asked you to play in the band.
That's got to be tough too, right, Mark? Because you got to have in your mind what the bass is going to be doing, or, the beat the drummer is going to be laying down. So what, you just keep your mouth shut and let them figure it out?
I listen, if it gets to the point where I say, where there's something's pinching the flow, right? I'll say, well, why is this happening? Let's look at it. And everybody looks at their part. And it was like a basketball team.
Yeah.
Hey, we're back to basketball. Hey, go Cats.
Right, that's right.
Anyway, that everyone takes responsibility for what they do, and what they bring to it is what makes the sum of the parts greater than the whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And the best bands have that. And that's why in general I prefer bands versus solo artists.
Oh yeah.
Because I do like how they, a band in general, usually, there's more creative input versus just somebody being the Hitler and telling you, hey, you're going to play this and you're going to play that. And if you don't do it right, I'll play it myself because I can play every instrument anyway. So I'm just doing this a courtesy by having you in the studio.
Right. The king of that was Miles Davis, who was a huge influence on me.
Yeah.
And I also took getting back to the influences, I took my cue from ECM Records. I fell in love with everything they did.
Oh, wow. What a great label.
Oh, yeah. It's some amazing stuff.
Well, there's only a handful of labels in the history of rock music that have basically turned into a genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
4AD, Rough Trade, SST. There's a few labels that come to mind, and ECM is definitely on that list, man, because it's like they just do their own thing. It's just incredible.
It was fabulous. It was fabulous. I still listen to some of that music now,
Oh, yeah. Oh, no doubt. And finally, in the rundown of Easter Island players, we would be very remiss if we didn't mention your incredible drummer, Mark Hendricks. Wow, for demos, the drum sounds really good. I mean, the snare is maybe a little wonky, but the toms sound good, the cymbals sound good, the kick sounds really good, and these are demos. Man, Mark must have a really good way around a kit.
Well, that and we employed our friend, not employed, nobody got any money, but Kevin Cowan co-produced it with us, and so he kind of took that seriously while we got other things together. But yeah, Mark
picture in the booklet, didn't he? Kevin got his picture in the booklet, I think. Let's see.
Let me see.
Let's see here. Oh no, Al Collinsworth is in here.
Oh yeah, Al. He's in the group Pre.
Yeah.
From Lexington.
Yeah.
And George is getting ready to release theirs too.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
No, Georgie didn't tell me about that. He's keeping stuff close to the vest. That's all right. I can't know everything. Now, fast forward, there was a second Easter Island album.
Yes.
In 1999, you dropped something called Mother's Son, and I can honestly say I've never heard it, Mark.
Wow. Well, part of the live cuts, we speaking of Al Collinsworth, my friend, I had a 3-piece version. Bob Chapman on drums. All my drummers died.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to play drums for me?
No, absolutely not. I'd like to see retirement.
Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks, Mark.
And my good friend Richard Streander, and with the trio did the album. But when we went to do it live, we did one concert with Parlin and a group, American prog group called Alaska, which, by the way, those guys were fantastic.
I remember Alaska and Perland. Yeah, everybody knows that cat.
Yeah. And so that was a little bit of a disaster because we're trying to make that big sound with 3 pieces. I mean, we got, a lot of applause and a standing ovation and all that. But to me, I listened to it back and I went, nobody's going to hear this anymore. But so anyway, so the next time I went to do it was in the 2000s. I forget when, 2003 maybe. So I got my friend Al, who was in Pre. He agreed to play bass, and he's a great vocalist. But he sang the background vocals with Richard and myself. So it was 4 pieces, and a couple of those cuts are on the live CD.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So I will get to hear a little bit of that record before.
A little bit. I will send. I'll be happy to.
Hey, I'd love to hear the whole thing.
You've got my email, so drop me your address.
I will.
It's absolutely a done deal.
So all this excitement, you know, we've seen little spikes of interest in the prog sphere over time, and I like to call it a demographic bump, because what you see is
Yeah.
every 20 years or so, that son is old enough to go up into the attic and check out dad's records.
That's right. That's
And then
right.
20 years down the road, his kid is going to be checking out his dad's record collection. So every 20 years or so, there seems to be this demographic bump where there's a little bit more interest in prog. We're absolutely in the middle of one right now, and we're going to take advantage of it. You know, so what are your plans going forward to make sure people know about the incredible music that Easter Island made way back in the day, man? What are your plans?
It reminds me of one of the lyrics to Solar Sailor that's on that first side, where it's I think it's someday down the road, as kingdoms flow, the birds will sing this song. You again will wonder where it is that you belong. So it's the generational thing where the music gets passed on and twisted, probably.
And that's fine. Let it get twisted. You know, the younger generation need to put their stamp on it. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, they can listen to Selling England by the Pound and Close to the Edge, but when they turn around and start their own band, they're doing their own thing. They're putting their own stamp on it. There's so many new exciting prog rock bands out there, and you know, it is because of you and the founding fathers of our beloved genre that this is going on. And you can take a little bit of pride in that, right? You were one of those foundational guys.
I am proud of it because it ended up mattering to somebody. You know, I mean, you can make all the stuff you want that you know you listen to, but when it turns into a collector's item or something, I mean, you know, you've got to take notice.
Yeah.
Humble goes out the window on that when you get to.
You're allowed when you put out a record as good as this one, man. You're allowed to, you know, puff up your chest a little bit, and you know, that's completely allowed. I mean, this album is just dynamite. 5 songs. I like all 5 of them, man. Face to Face, just 10 out of 10. Just an amazing song. Genius of the Dance took me a minute to get into, but the changes that are in there, so cool, so amazing. Solar Sailor, you just referenced, dynamite track. Winds of Time, I absolutely love that song. And then that mighty epic, the Alchemist's Sweet, so good. What Telesterion is the section on that I think a lot of people talk about with the tribal drumming and stuff like that. What are your recollections of recording that song?
Well, I knew what I wanted. I had an interesting New Year's Eve once back in that day. I spent New Year's Eve in a temple with a traveling troupe of Sufi drummers.
Oh.
And they're doing their whirling dervish thing, you know, throughout the space, and they had a rhythm going. And this is just basically a rhythm that I came up with to emulate what they were doing. I didn't remember what their rhythm was, because it was New Year's Eve after all. But anyway, so
and it was the 70s. Things were a little different back then.
Oh yeah. May I present you with my tapestry behind me?
Hey, what are we looking at, Mark?
That's an Amazon special. Probably cost. It's like an entrance to I think it's the doors of perception. You know.
Okay.
So anyway, because of that, I had this great little chord progression that was very unusual and actually would cramp up my hand to play it. And I came up with a melody, and I was kind of going for the Ravel Bolero thing.
Yeah.
Where it constantly builds and builds, but it's the same thing over and over again. And so I wanted there to be a low drum sound, as though, you know, it's Telesterion was a place for initiation into the mysteries in ancient Greece. And that's shout out to you, George. Anyway, and
he doesn't want anybody to know he's from Greece. What's wrong with that guy?
Part of the initiation was they would march into the temple, and then nobody knows what happened to him because they'd kill you if you told anybody, you know.
Right.
But so it had to have that sound like drums in the distance, you know. So we put reverb on it, played the floor tom. I added a little slat drum, a little gato drum. Um, I don't know why I did that. I guess just so I could say I did it. I don't know. But
Cool.
yeah. So the melody builds and it goes from it goes into Mellotron and then it goes into where we recorded it was at a studio that had a Yamaha CS80, which was really big. Vangelis had just made it popular.
Those are like the 80s came out like in 76, I think, 77.
Yeah.
So that was like a brand new piece of equipment there.
It was. They were the first ones that I knew of anywhere that had it. And so that's where it took shape. Was what was beautiful is since it's a repetitive thing. When Ray was playing it, he was learning it.
Yeah,
we didn't have time to learn it and then play it. You know, you'd have to pay the guy. You know, so
what I'm hearing is this album might be one of the very first albums in the history of recorded music to have that Yamaha CS80
maybe
on there.
I don't know.
It's one of the first.
Yeah, it is early on. I
always thought about like Genesis Duke as like the first time that keyboard sound, that particular Yamaha keyboard really caught my ears. And here I'm learning a couple years earlier, it's like old hat to you already.
Well, yeah, we didn't have to buy it, which was the best part of it.
Yeah.
We could just use it.
No doubt.
But it was an interesting, you know, on that subject. That's what has always defined music and genres of music is technology.
Absolutely, Mark. I'm doing Wednesday on the channel. That'll be tomorrow to you boys and girls. Even though I've got my Hello Kitty St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, Mark. This is going to be posted tomorrow, so I really was an idiot wearing this shirt. It has no relevance tomorrow whatsoever. But Wednesday on the show, I'm going to be talking about I've been meaning to do this. I've had the channel for 3 years now, Mark, and finally I'm going to do an episode called What is Prog?
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody keeps asking me, you know, like I'm supposed to be the expert since I've got a YouTube channel, right? I've been asked this question at least 1,000 times in the last 3 years. So I'm finally going to answer that question for all the good little boys and girls out there in YouTube land. So you can sleep better tonight knowing that all your important questions have been answered by the master. You're welcome, by the way, in advance. So that's going to be tomorrow on the program. Very excited about that one. Yeah.
Oh,
so
sure.
It's good
you
brought that up.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the question for the ages.
It really is. But you know what? I don't have an answer. So what I ended up doing, Mark, was I went on ChatGPT, I went on Gemini, I went on Grok, I went on all the AI platforms, and I just asked them that question.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm going to look at what AI thinks prog rock is, and then
Awesome.
I'll obviously talk about why they're dead wrong and why I'm right and why my opinion's the only one that matters. And you know what? That's why I started a YouTube channel, boys and girls, because I was getting sick and tired of my opinion not being the only one that mattered. So, hey, here I'm the boss, so it works out really, really good. Oh, Mark, any closing words, any final thoughts?
Well, I would encourage musicians to always try to create and understand that your reward is if the music catches on to somebody. Money won't do you any good at many points in your life, but the accolades and the idea that you've there's another name for you, accolade.
I like that. I never thought about that before.
Yeah, I didn't.
How did I not ever think about that before? Oh, I'm writing that down. Hold on. Yeah, I'm writing that down. Okay.
But you know, even if it's just on, of course, it's not that way nowadays with computer recording, but even if it's just a handheld recorder, you never know when that's going to mean something to somebody.
Absolutely. Here we are, Mark. Did you think 46 years ago that, you would be talking about these songs?
Well, I did hope so.
On a YouTube channel, which is this is television, man. Do you know young people don't watch television anymore, Mark?
I don't either. I watch
only
the
people-
basketball. I watch basketball games.
I watch reality TV and I watch basketball, and honestly, that's about it, boys and girls. But you know, the young kids don't watch TV. If you look at the amount of screen time shared by different demographic groups, you will find that only people over 50 watch TV. Man, they're all on YouTube. They're all watching it. This is television now, so
It
this
is
where
to me
people
too.
spend their time.
Hey, I can even watch the games on TV now.
You can watch it all,
on
you
YouTube.
know?
Yeah.
If you
great.
think about it, something as obscure and something as niche as progressive rock,
Yeah.
you can go on YouTube and spend not just hours, you can spend days and weeks watching idiots like me pontificating at length about our beloved genre. It's just amazing. I mean, during the COVID lockdown, that's when it like the light bulb went off for me.
Yeah.
You know, I had no time, you know, to work. I had no time to do anything. I was just stuck in my house. What am I going to do with all this free time? I guess I'm going to watch YouTube. And then I realized, wow.
Well, you're not an idiot or anything else. You're an enthusiast.
There you go.
You have more enthusiasm than anybody I've seen
You
online.
know, I don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, Mark.
There you go.
You know, I don't care. I'm going to mispronounce names. I'm going to get stuff wrong. People call me out all the time in the comment section, and that's fine because I don't script stuff, man. You know, I don't have a script. I just hit record and I just start talking. That's what I do. So, yeah, it lends itself to a few, like I might have said an album comes out this year when it came out this year, you know, mispronounce somebody's name, but I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm not listening to an album and worried about how Mark's pronouncing his last name. I'm worried about those licks he's playing.
That was amazing. You got it right. You didn't try to put an R in it.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't come out like pizza or anything like that either.
Our last names are not that complicated, Mark, but I'm here to tell you, no one can pronounce my last name. It's so bizarre. You would think it would be like a weird pronunciation. It's Lade. It's not Larday. It's not Laddie. It's not. I've heard it all.
Laddie. Oh, Laddie. Scott Laddie. Hey, I can see. You know,
it's pronounced like it's spelled. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what are your big plans today? It's St. Patrick's Day as we're recording this. What are you going to do after we get off here? What's a day in life look like for you?
I'm probably going to try to tidy up my studio because I've neglected it some. That's the back of the studio, but I need to get some things working again because I'm getting ready to start some experimental recording with a great friend of mine who's a world-class keyboardist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're going to do the electronic thing because that's all I listen to anymore. I just listen to electronic music.
Got any hot tips? Any artists you've been really, really digging?
No, I never know who's playing it. It's just always going on around me. There's a radio station. I don't know if I can say what it is or not.
Please do.
It's somafm.com.
Okay.
And they have about a dozen genres.
Nice.
And I like the one that's called Space Station.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I plug Prog Radio pretty incessantly here on the channel. He and I have clicked up and partnered up. But there's a lot of great internet-based radio stations out there. You know, so if you're tired of the, you know, terrestrial stations playing, you know, Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses and Def Leppard over and over and over, there's plenty of alternatives, man. It's an amazing thing for radio. It's an amazing thing for music fans across the board because no matter what you're into, there's going to be some clown who's got a YouTube channel talking about that very thing. Thank God for the internet, man. What would we do if the North Koreans send an electronic pulse and kills everything? I don't want that, man. My life would be shattered, bro.
No kidding. All right. Well, it could happen from within, considering what's going on right now.
Yeah, that's a whole nother subject matter. And you know what? My viewers skew about 50-50, man. So I walk a tightrope, you know, because I know about half of my viewers support Trump and about the other half do not. So, you know, I do a little tap dance around here, you know.
I got you.
I don't want to get anybody upset. They all know how I feel. They all know I'm not a Trump supporter. But, you know, I show them grace and I admit that, you know what, I could be wrong, man. I've been wrong so many times in my life that I refuse to, stand up on my hill and beat my chest and say I'm right about everything, because obviously, that's a lie. Anybody who thinks they're right about everything is probably wrong about everything.
Well, they're wrong about that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh man, this was awesome, Mark. Thank you so much. We're gonna wrap it up because we're at 40 minutes. That seems about right. Anyway, boys and girls, peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet, free the Ukraine, free Willie, free your mind, free beer. Most importantly, that free beer. There's a sign down in Key West that says free beer, and then you look real close, it says tomorrow. That's not cool, man. Don't be playing those games with me. Anyway, God save the king. Save King Chucky. Oh, yeah. King Chucky the third needs your saving. Oh, we're going to do spells and incantations. We got to get this boy to America. Bring that boy to America where he can teach Donald J. Trump how to be a king, and he's going to show him how to dance with snakes. Oh, no, you got the snakes. Oh, they're really wild. They're really fiery and feisty today, Mark. Oh, I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
There we go.